If you've been selling a decent amount of books on Amazon, you probably use a repricer to win the buy box. And using a repricer is a tool that's very, very helpful because it helps increase our sales, because we know that about 75-80% of the sales on Amazon come from the buy box. But as you know, in order to have a repricer, you actually have to pay money for it. Well, in this video, I want to show you how I actually make money from repricers, and it's probably not in the way that you think. All right, so let's just take a look at this book on Amazon. This is The Tennessee State of the Nation. It's a paperback, 2006, and it's $15.75. That's the buy box. That's what you can buy for Prime. Now, most people, if they were to look at this book, they would see that it's $15.75. And if they're trying to do online arbitrage, there's no way that they would be interested in buying this book, because if it's selling for $15.75, then there's no way you can really make money buying it to flip it online. But I want to show you how repricers actually are making me money in scenarios like this. If you actually were to look at this Keepa chart, you notice something very interesting, and that is that recently the price of this book has gone down from $75 all the way down to $15.75 over the past half a month. And if you look at the Keepa chart, what's interesting is that this is very abnormal in terms of the price of this book being at $15.75, because for the whole past year, the price of this book at its lowest was about $55 and was consistently around $70 all the way up to $75. If we look at the sales rank drop, those indicates when the book is sold. And if we overlap the use price and the sales rank, basically there's confirmation that this book has sold at least 15 or 20 times over the past year for about $70 or more. And if we go ahead and look at the entire data, the entire historical data of this book for the last 2,400 days, I mean, basically the same story is shown here, that this book historically sells for around $70. There are times when it sells for a little bit less and a little bit more. But the point is, this book right now on Amazon is an undervalued book. And the reason why it's undervalued and you can make money is because of repricers. So what we should do is actually go ahead and look at all the different offers to see why exactly the price of this book has gone down. So you can see that right now there's 3 copies, $15.75, $15.75, and $16.49. And actually the 2 copies at $15.75, they look like they're the same seller. But this seller here, Jillholm 1 at $16.49, these 2 people are in a repricing war. And so as you know, repricers, their main goal is to try to win the buy box. And by doing that, a lot of the time, the person who has a repricer sets the rule to try to undercut the buy box winner by a penny or 50 cents or a dollar. And when 2 people have the same rule like that, where they're supposed to undercut each other to win the buy box, inevitably you get this downward staircase in price that happens very quickly, and explains why this book went from $75 all the way down to $15.75. Now, what do you think would happen if someone were to come in and just to buy one of these copies? Like if someone bought this copy for $15.75 or bought this copy for $16.49, what would happen? Well, what I would predict would happen is that the price would automatically shoot all the way back up, because now all of a sudden there isn't another seller competing for the buy box at that same price. And so if, for example, someone were to buy this $16.49 copy, then my bet is that this seller's repricer would automatically jump the price back up to match or to barely beat this price of $27.18. And if one of those books actually end up buying out, then I would guarantee you that the price would shoot right back up to $60. So this is a book that I definitely would want to buy at least 1 or 2 copies of, because like I said, the historical data is pretty strong to show that this book historically sells for north of $70. And if you were to buy this book for $15.75 and just sell it for what it's historically sold for, let's say $71, you'd make a $35 profit. So you'd make money off of this repricing war. Now, one way to try to find the cheaper option is you can go ahead and copy the ASIN here, and you can go over to a website called Bookfinder. And if you type in or copy the ISBN into the search bar there, Bookfinder is going to go ahead and show you all the cheapest prices on all these other different marketplaces. Right now, it looks like the cheapest price is $15.75 on Amazon. But before I actually started recording this video, the cheapest price was actually this book, or the same book here, on eBay for $12.78. So if we go and put in my buy cost at $12.78 and what I think I can sell it for, which is its historical sell price is $71, I'm going to make a $38 profit. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to come in here and buy 1 or 2 of these copies here, because like I said, I think this is completely undervalued right now. This is a book that you could make money just by selling it for what it has historically sold for. And while its sales rank is not amazing, it doesn't sell a whole bunch. It definitely does sell at least 15 or 20 times in the past year. And for me, that's enough time for me to pick up 1 or 2 or maybe 3 copies because, again, I'm not really trying to exploit the prime gap. I'm not really trying to raise my price super high. I'm just trying to sell it for what it's historically sold for, because if I do that, I'm going to make about $35 per book. Okay, so your next logical question is probably, well, how do I actually find a book like this? Well, there are a couple of ways. One way is to use a software called Flipmine. I have a video on my channel on how to use that, but I think a better way to find books like this is actually utilizing the Keepa deals page. So let me go ahead and show you how to use that. Okay, the first way to do this is just to find a product listing for any book on Amazon and scroll down to the Keepa chart. And you'll see that on the Keepa chart, you'll see that there's this tab called Find Related Deals. And if you go ahead and click that tab, it's going to bring you over to the Keepa Deals page. The other way you can find it is you could just literally type in Keepa Deals into Google, and Keepa Amazon Price Tracker will come up. And from there, you can go ahead and you can select the Deals tab up here. And once you're here at the Deals page, you can go ahead and insert some parameters to find books that are experiencing repricing wars that you could make money off of. Okay, so let me go and show you the parameters that I would set to find books like this. So we're looking at used books here on Amazon. So I'm going to click the use. I'm going to look at a drop interval of about a month, because basically from the time the repricing war started to when it's ended, or in other words, when it's bottomed out, it's probably going to be around a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. I'm looking for a drop percentage of at least 60%, and I want the dollar amount to be $25 or greater. And lastly, I want to search for books between $0 and $24. And I'm going to have a pretty large range when it comes to searching for sales ring, anywhere from 0 to 2 million sales ring. And I'm not actually going to play with any of these filters here. But what I'm going to do is sort by the newest first, and then up here at the top, I'm going to sort by the book category, because guess what? It turns out that you could use these same parameters for other categories as well, but I primarily sell books, so I'm just going to look at the books. So what I'm going to do is actually go over a couple of the books that we found here and show you how you can make money from these repricers. So the first book that we're going to look at is an Algebra Teacher Edition. So that's going to be right down here, Algebra's Teacher Edition. So if you look here at the Keepa graph, couple of things that you notice is that this book doesn't sell a lot, but it definitely does sell. If you overlap the sales rank and the use price, you can see that it's sold here for about 73, 64, a couple times in here for 80, a couple times in here for 70, and then all the way back here at the beginning of last year for 99. If you zoom out a little bit further, you can see that there is some data to show that it's sold for, in the $30 range to $50 range. You also see data that it's been as low as $5 in the past as well. But if you look at the price of this book on Amazon right now, you can see that there was a repricing war where we went from $58 all the way down to $9.41. And if you went to Amazon and you actually took a look at all the used offers, you could see why this repricing war is occurring. So it looks like we have actually a number of sellers, maybe about 4 or 5 sellers, anywhere from, let's see, this would be $8 per shipping all the way up to $19.99 or $19.89. And then all of a sudden jumps all the way back up to $64. So this is a book that you could potentially buy maybe 1 copy of, probably not more than that because it doesn't sell very frequently. And again, there's historical data to show that it's sold for anywhere from $70 to $80 in the last year. Now, the used offer count is creeping up a little bit, so I wouldn't say that this would be necessarily a great deal, but I bet you could probably still make money on this book. All right, let's look at this book called Essentials of Low Vision. And if you look at the Keepa graph, you see there are 3 sales above, well over $100. This one was for $225. This one was probably for the new price of $166, and then probably the used price of $120. Since then, there have been about 4 sales, and all of them have been pretty cheap, right around $20. And if we look a little bit further back in history, you see that the price of this book kind of is pretty wild. It goes up and down pretty frequently. There are definitely some historical sales at over $200 sometimes, but then there's also some sales down here at $80. And there's also history of the book being, quite low, very similar to the price right now. So if we go over to Amazon, let's go and figure out why there's a repricing war. Because again, if you look at the Keepa graph here, you see that the price of this book on October 20th was $336 if you wanted to buy it. And since then, we see the staircase downward, and all of a sudden now we're down to $21.63. So if we go and take a look at the used offers here, you actually see that there are 2 used offers, and obviously they're in a repricing war because after these 2 prices, it jumps all the way up to $353 again. So the question is, well, would you or should you buy this book? It technically hasn't really sold that much, but is it possible to make money? Well, I think in determining that, you should really look at past historical data. So if we go back a little bit further into history, you see that this book has had history of repricing wars. So let's look at July 27th. This would be, let's see what year this would be. This would be back in 2017. You can see the price went from $199 all the way down to, looks like, about $20. And it looks like someone bought that book there, the price rebounded, and all of a sudden there was a number of sales above 160. So if you would have bought the book then, that would have been a great deal because you could have turned $20 into 160. Now, if you keep going, there's another point in time in late 2018 where the same thing happened. You have this repricing war all the way down to, looks like, about $10. And then from there on after, you actually do see some sales for, again, 170, 179. And this book basically has a history of having these repricing wars. And basically when the price gets really, really low and one of those copies gets bought up, that the actual price of the book goes up. So you can see more sales at 145, 180, and so on. But the question here is, that's all historical data in the past. Like, is that likely to happen again? And there's really no true way to know if that's going to happen again. You just have to make an educated guess. The way that I would tackle this is first look at the book and determine, is there a newer edition of this book? Because if there is a newer edition of the book, then it's maybe unlikely that the price of the book will rebound or go up that much. Turns out that I don't see a new edition of this book. Usually it's populated here. Another way that you could check that is you could just go ahead and copy the name of the book here, and you can go and put that into Amazon, and you can also type in the last name of the author, and you can see if there is another edition available. So it looks like there's only one edition, and actually this was published in 1998. So I don't think there's a new edition coming out soon. Obviously, it's still selling. Now, it isn't still selling a lot. Looks like it, like I said, it sold, 3 times over, 150, and then it sold for 4 times around $20. But remember that in order for you to make money, you don't actually even have to sell it for 224 or 183. You just have to sell it for a decent amount of money to get the ROI that you want. So for example, if we could buy this book at, let's say, $25.43, let's see, is that the lowest price? I think that is the lowest price. Yeah, $25.43. You can come over here and you can enter that into SellerAmp, and then you could put in your sales price. So if you were able to sell this for, let's say, 100 and what did it sell here for? 121. Now, obviously, you'd be making quite a bit of money, but again, this book doesn't sell a lot. So in order to try to force a sale or get a quicker sell, what you could do is just make the price a lot more competitive, and you could even sell it undervalued as well to try to get a sell. So you might even just price it at 75, which historically is pretty low considering what it has sold for in the past, and you'd make $27. Now, one thing that I would recommend is before you buy the book on Amazon, make sure you copy the ASIN and you go on over to a website called Bookfinder, because often the sellers of this book on Amazon sell it on other marketplaces, and sometimes they'll sell it for cheaper on those marketplaces. So here's a good example. The lowest price book is actually on Biblio, $24.02. And if I go and click over to Biblio, if you actually subscribe and become a Bibliophile member and you pay $19.95 a year, you get 10% off every order. So you can see that if I get my 10% discount, basically the book now comes at $21.92. And I can come back over here to, let's come back over to the listing, $21.92. That's a lot better for me because it lowers my price cost. And like I said, if I just sell this book for 75, I'm making some money. And also the cool thing about the strategy is that you don't have to buy both copies. These two people are in a repricing war. If you just bought one of their copies, I guarantee you the price of this book would probably shoot back up to maybe not $353, but probably significantly more than 21. And just to show you what I mean, here's a great example of that happen. So you can see that at this point in time, October 9th, the price was $27. Somebody bought the book and then went right up to $178. See if there's another example of that. So you can see right here, the book was $15.05. Someone bought a copy. When the sales rank dropped, price went up to $228. Let's actually look a little bit further back in time when there these repricing wars and see what happened. So here's a good example. The book was $175, went all the way down to, looks like $10. And once those copies bought out, the book immediately shot up to 41 and then right back up to 100. So again, you only really need to probably buy one of these books, and I wouldn't recommend buying more than just one copy because this book doesn't really sell that often. Okay, the next book we're going to look at that came up under our search results is this information security book. And this actually happens more often than you would think. If you look at the Keepa graph and you look at the used price, you notice that today the price of this book just tanked from $89 all the way down to $11.04. So this is one of the most underutilized features of the deals tab, is that a lot of times you can find mistakes from Amazon sellers. So this isn't a case where an Amazon seller actually priced their book incorrectly and the price jumped all the way down to $11.04. And to show you that, I'm actually going to show you that I bought this book already. So you can see if I go over to the Amazon page, you see that I did buy it today on November 5th. And I did buy it for $11.04 plus shipping. So why would I buy this book? Well, you see a number of sales rank drop. This book really, it's only been available for 500 days. So it's still pretty new, kind of a newer edition book. I don't see that there has been a newer edition put out here. So this was just a blatant incorrect mispricing, and the deals page allowed me to find this book. And if I go and put in my buy cost, which would be, let's actually look at how much I paid for the book. It looks like I paid $11.04 plus $5.99 shipping for $17.03. I don't have to pay tax because I'm shipping to a prep center in a sales tax-free state. But then also I use my rewards points. So I actually use the Amazon Prime credit card, which gives you 5% back on Amazon purchases, and that gets credited to your Amazon account. So basically, I buy so many books on Amazon from using the Keepa product finder and the track product and the deals page that I've accumulated these points. So technically, I've actually bought this book for free because I use my $17.03 in rewards points to pay $0 for this book. What do I think I could realistically sell this for? Buy box right now is $89. To buy it new is $97. I would say that, yeah, this book is, you could probably very easily sell for $85. And if I sold for $85, I'd make a $45 profit. But again, because I'm using this Amazon Prime credit card, which gives you 5% back on every Amazon purchase, I was actually able to buy it for $0. So basically, I'm turning rewards points from $0 into a profit of $62. Okay, let's take a look at another book that the Keep a Deals page showed us. So this is Unger's commentary on the Old Testament. And again, you can see this very stereotypical staircase drop in used price, which is basically indicative of a repricing war. So on August 27th, we were at $65. It's now November 5th, and now you can buy this book for $21. So the question is, if you were to buy it at $21, is that truly undervalued? Could you flip it back for its historical value and make money? Well, we have a couple sales here for $67. A little bit further back in time in June, July, we're maybe about $50. We go back to January. We even got as high as a couple sales at $82, maybe a couple sales down here at $42. If we go a little bit further back into time in 2021, a lot of sales here about $50 or $60. Now, one thing to be cautious about here is that starting here in, looks like June, we actually see the used offer count, this black used line at the bottom, start to go up quite a bit. And usually when you see the used offer count go up significantly, that's when you tend to see repricing wars, because there's just more sellers on the listing. So there's more sellers of the repricers, and there's more likelihood that there's going to be these people with these custom rules that basically say undercut the buy box price. And that's what creates this downward spiral. What I would do in this case is actually look at past historical data to look at what was the book selling for at this sort of used offer count. So if we go back a little bit further, right now the used offer count, it got as high as 16. Right now it's about 11. So let's go back and look at a time when the used offer count was around that amount. So that would be about this time here of 2021. So it looks like, there's historical data to still show that this was selling for about $60, $70 in that time period. And if we go a little bit further, used offer count was actually a little bit higher. There are times where we're selling for maybe about $50. It's gone up and down, but generally the way that I think of this is, if you bought this book at $21, it's probably going to be a good buy because it's undervalued. Now, it's not going to be a great deal, but here's just an example. Right now, the buy box price is $79. That's for the prime seller. And you can buy a copy of this for $21 plus shipping. And it looks like there's actually 3 sellers who are in this repricing war with each other. And notice that 2 of them are Goodwill. And look, another one is Jill Home. So it's funny that you'll find Goodwill. You'll find sellers who always have these repricing rules for almost every book. A lot of the times it's Goodwill. And apparently a lot of times it's Jill Home 1, whoever that is. So let's go ahead and let's put let's use SellerAmp to see what we could potentially make on this if we were to sell it. So 21 plus $4. So let's just say this is like 25.07. We could buy it for that. And sales price, historically, I would say if you just sold it for $60, I would say it's an historical, value that you could give for it. You'd make $16 profit. Now, notice again that the buy box is $79. Now, generally, when I try to tell you about how to buy and flip books using online arbitrage, I don't suggest that you buy books and try to exploit the buy box to make money. But in this case, it's okay. And the reason why it's okay is because the historical data shows that at the price you're buying this book, it's actually undervalued. A lot of the times when people do this, this flipping where they try to exploit the buy box, they're buying the book for its historical value. And so an example would be like, if you try to buy this book for $50, which is its historical value, and let's say the buy box was like $129, that would be an example of trying to exploit the buy box. So with this strategy, you're trying to buy the book undervalued, and you're trying to profit off of selling it for what it's actually worth. Now, of course, you could also try to exploit the buy box. In this case, you probably could exploit the buy box a little bit. And so if you did sell this for $79.95, which I think is completely in the realm of possibility, then you could make 130% ROI. Okay, so at this point, I think you get the point of how repricers can make you a lot of money if you're using the Keep a Deals page, or if you're using FlipMine, whatever way that you come across books, you'll find this happening a lot. Now, with these search parameters that I just used on Keepa, this brought up 725 book results, and I just went through maybe about 40 of them. So there's still tons of possibility out there. There's so much digging you have to do, but there are so many gold nuggets there. I'd say probably about 10 to 15% of these books are books that you could probably buy and make some pretty good money on. So with that said, that's all I got for you. If you have any questions, leave them down below as comments, and that's all I got for you. So peace out. Later.